Let's meet tonight's party panel. We've got Ricochet editor-in-chief John Gabriel, political analyst and former Baltimore City crime reporter. She knows what she's talking about, especially with this story. Rochelle Ritchie, and host of Radical with Shane Hazel. It's a podcast. He's a Georgia Libertarian governor candidate. Shane Hazel, the one and only. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, Kennedy.
Good to be here.
All right. So, John Gabriel, I will start with you. When an arsonist is saying, oh, my God, why am I out? This is such a horrible idea. Maybe we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I've found in my life I rarely agree with Baltimore arsonists, but I agree with this one. He's making better points than a lot of people leading the city right now. Criminal justice reform is very important, but that doesn't mean you change the definition of criminal and justice. And it also means justice not only for the accused, but also for the victim as well. So he is completely right. I am writing him in for mayor if I ever move to Baltimore because he's right on the money. You have to give fair sentencing and fair treatment, not just completely ignore really serious crimes that are putting the people of Baltimore at risk.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people who've gotten caught up in the system, Rochelle, who have unpaid tickets that turn into bench warrants. They're arrested, and those are the people who shouldn't be held on bail, but oftentimes are. People who try to kill 3 people, I don't think they're the ones who should receive leniency first. And, maybe it's these high-profile stories that we're hearing about, but it feels like we're doing something a little wrong here.
Well, look, I definitely don't think that this guy should be mayor of Baltimore or running in any sort of leadership position at all. And when, we really don't know all of the evidence necessarily in this case. And for this guy to come out and be so surprised about how his misogynistic, abusive behavior and he's not in jail, for him to be surprised now, I'm wondering, well, why didn't you plead guilty? If you are so shocked and appalled by your own behavior and you feel like you should have been held accountable, then why didn't you plead guilty before the plea deal? He didn't care. So this plea deal is basically within the sentencing guidelines that I think the prosecutor's office was able to follow because he doesn't have a criminal record. And that, unfortunately, just exposes how flawed our justice system is.
It is, because people with criminal records who attempt to kill people in New York City, they're charged with petty larceny, Shane. And, New York City is different than any other city, and you want it to be safe, and it has operated safely for a long, long time. Violent crime in the city was trending down for a long time. People felt safe. It was okay to walk around at night by yourself, but now a guy can go into a drugstore with a knife, take $2,000 worth of goods, come back later on and steal another $500, and he's slapped with petty larceny. It feels like there's a really dumb imbalance, and as I've said 1,000 times, the pendulum is going to swing the other way.
Well, when you've got a criminal justice system that's run by criminals, I mean, let's face it, these guys sat on their hands, what was it, last summer when cities burned across America. They have been known to be on the take. They're notoriously known as thieves and murderers throughout our society and around the world, for that matter. They haven't really defined crime as the violent crime, the murder, rape, theft, coercion, things like that. And they've gone after peaceful people. They've criminalized peaceful people. Look, if you guys want solutions in terms of what we should be doing in America, what you can do as an American at your local level is get into your sheriff, get into your mayors. Those are the people that control the guys with badges and guns, and then go after your AGs. The AGs are the people who are letting these guys out. And here's the thing:
and
is the
DAs.
sheriff,
the
if
DAs
he knows
are the
they're
ones
violent,
in cities,
yeah.
Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and now add New York to the list. They're the ones who are not charging people who have no problem hurting other people. And they go, oh, these poor dears, they just need a little bit of help. Now, they've had plenty of chances to get help. If you're going to hurt people and you're going to take their stuff, you have given up part of your rights. I'm sorry. Maybe that makes me a horrible person, Shane. I don't think it does.
No, I think the sheriffs should keep them in jail, whether the attorneys agree with it or not. If they're violent people and they're letting them go, maybe they should be charging the attorneys.
Oh, yes, that's good. And then everyone can have a mustache ride. So is now the time for a Hillary comeback? Obviously, a new Wall Street Journal op-ed argues President Brandon and Kamala Hopeless are so unpopular, the door is now open for a Democrat candidate. to swap seats in 2024. And who better to replace those unlikable phonies than the genuine and lovable people's pants? My dog Lemmy would be a much better president than any of these clowns. Could Hillary, oh, there she is. Could she run for president? Is she really the best Democrat to have to offer? I think she's incredible, John Gabriel.
Oh, yeah. This is what we've all been hoping for, nay, praying for, another Hillary run. And I'm sure this time it'll be successful. And I'm going to be a complete horrible ageist here. Enough of the boomers, enough of the, 70 pushing 80-year-olds. And that's all the people they seem to be talking about now. I think it's past time to give us, Gen X, a shot at it.
Yes, that's right, John Gabriel.
For a couple decades. Yeah, we can screw stuff up far better, and we'll have a better soundtrack for it. So just let us mess things up for a while.
But you know what? We mess things up. We'll be like, just leave me alone, okay? Leave me alone. How about that? I don't want to be part of your business.
Whatever.
I don't know what happens to you. Don't take my money. I won't take yours. Just leave me alone. Seriously. So, Rochelle, you have been the spokesperson for congressional Democrats and others for a long time. What does the thought of a Hillary Clinton candidacy, what does it do to you? What does it make you feel, Rochelle?
Annoyed. It's not going to happen, though. I mean, this is just, another attempt to kind of rile up the Republicans and get people all fired up about the thought of Hillary running again. It's not going to happen. I think that the Democrats do definitely need to be figuring out who that person is going to be. And I do agree with the last speaker who said that it is time to go a little bit younger when it comes to who runs our country and is the commander in chief. So I don't see Hillary running again at all. She already said in 2017 that, she was done with being active in politics. And so this is just another way to just get some attention. I think you bring up Hillary Clinton, Republicans go crazy, and then it's this whole idea that she's running again.
Yeah, I think it's funny. The Democrats like, whoa, maybe not. I don't think she's going to be the nominee. I don't think she has the political clout. I think her husband is an anvil. She's a sore loser. She's as sore a loser as Donald Trump. She really is, maybe more because she will not stop chirping about it. But I would love to see another go round. I don't know why, but I don't know what happened. I'm a royal blue, everybody. Where's my fireworks barge? I'm gonna throw a vase at John Podesta's head. I think it's great news.
Please, God, make it stop.
So good. It is entertaining, Shane, but. Democrats say they want to go younger. Kamala Harris is younger, but she's a bit inept.
Totally unlikable. I mean, if we're in a spot right now where Hillary Clinton's thinking about it, they're just even riling people up. I mean, what a disaster. I mean, maybe a Trump-Hillary ticket. That way the Democrats and the Republicans both get what they want and America goes libertarian. Dave Smith or Spike or, I mean, you name it. But we've got a lot bigger, better things to do in America than watch a rematch between Trump. And here's the thing is Trump could, if the DNC was smart, they'd run Trump. He is terrible on guns. He is terrible on due process, and he is absolutely awful on domestic spying. So maybe Trump is the DNC's guy, and we can do better both as libertarians and as Republicans, and actually put up somebody who's focused on rights.
Democrats are obsessed with him, so it's not the worst thing I've heard. So, Shane, between Dave Smith and Spike, who would you like to see at the top of the ticket for the Libertarian Party in 2024? Say it.
Dave Smith's my guy, man. He's a Mises Caucus guy. If you guys don't know him, check it out. Take human action and go check it out. That's great.
We're all going to check it out.
Kennedy, Kennedy, who I think will run as a woman for the Republican Party? I think Liz Cheney might. I just have this feeling that she might go for it against Trump. I could totally see it.
She's not going to get enough people to coalesce around her. Nikki Haley, if there is a woman Republicans are going to run, it will be her. There are a lot of people in different factions in the Republican Party who are quite enamored of her. All right, party panel, thank you so much. You and Lemmy have made my night. John, Rochelle, and Shane.